food doesn't heal us, and obviously doctors don't heal us, and pharmaceuticals don't heal us, and therapies don't heal us. It's our bodies that heal us. If we let it, if we stop attacking it.
Jay, how did you find carnivore?
All right. Yeah. I love hearing that question from you. Yeah. So I'll start with the short story. More than 5 years ago, I started following Jordan Peterson and, his um, refusal to let his university put words in his mouth. And, I thought that was totally support that. And he turns out to be quite a brilliant guy. So I was following him. And then at some point, like I said, a little more than 5 years ago, he introduced his daughter, Michaela Peterson. And, um, and of course, she has her autoimmune system has a very severe reaction, apparently, to any plants whatsoever, has most of her life. And so she eventually got to the point where she was just eating beef, salt, and water and was able to heal. And I never heard that before. I was in the same camp that thought, well, you have to have some plants. Um, so that's a short story. And then I started digging into it and finding other speakers, Dr. Paul Mason and Sean Baker, Amber O'Hearn, Kelly Hogan, etc. And then just been kept digging into it since then. Now, the long story is my entire life, I have been looking for um, solutions to health problems that I had. And early, when I went to college about 40 years ago, I started getting really bad headaches and just debilitating headaches. Just totally wiped me out. And um, I started looking at the food that I was eating. I've never been big on going to the doctors or anything like that. I assume it, probably has some kind of, um, blood glucose or, diabetes or something like that. But I just kept looking at food and slowly got to a point where I was eating low glycemic. And I spent most of my adult life doing that. And I'm 59 now, so um, that was quite a bit of time. And I it got rid of the headaches. First I cut out the real obvious things, sugars and milk and the starchy carbs. And I got to eating a lot of salads, eating berries, eating a lot of nuts, and I didn't get really bad headaches, but I was still suffering with chronic fatigue and brain fog and poor sleep and the work that I do, it's programming, web application development, working online, and so very sedentary. So I kept getting weaker and smaller until, like I say, a little more than 5 years ago, and discovered that the carnivore diet, and so that was, I think, early December in 2018, and I started eating more meat. Uh, and I started feeling better, and I had lost 10 pounds in like a couple weeks, and I wasn't trying to lose weight. Um, but for whatever reason, I was reluctant to give up the salads, and because at that point, I was making giant salads. I had at least two giant salads every day, and eating loads of almonds, and if I didn't stop eating, I'd get famished, you know, and lightheaded and more groggy. So I had to keep eating all day. Um, but I started getting more energy and I lost weight. That kind of surprised me. And again, for whatever reason, I didn't want to give up those salads. And then for at the end of December, I don't remember why, but I got busy doing stuff, and I realized that for 3 days I had not had any plans whatsoever. I didn't have, I wasn't at home, or I was, working outside or something, and I didn't have time to make the salads, and I was just eating meat. And I realized, hey, you're a carnivore. So I stuck to it. And for the first 16 months, I only ate steak, salt, and water. And everything really started to turn around. And again, quickly again, in like a week or two, I lost another 10 pounds. So, and I wasn't trying to lose weight, and I really didn't need to lose weight. At that point, I got down to 130, and being 5'10", that was kind of like on the bottom line of really how much I should weigh. But at the same time, I noticed over a month or so, my muscles started to tone up, which was that was a little bit of a surprise too. And I wasn't exercising. So it was really clear to me that okay, this is what I've been looking for my whole life.
Since that time, you've been carnivore ever since, and you're just still
Yeah.
doing the steak, salt, water.
No, that was for the first 16 months. So now this is it's a little more than 5 years. So end of December was when I started 100% carnivore, and the first 16 months was just steak, and then for some reason, I started to get tired of steak. I'm not sure why, but I just started eating hamburger. And then hamburger was like, that's kind of plain. So I added eggs to that. And so really that's been primarily the vast majority of the food I've been eating since. Hamburger and eggs, and I'll have some dairy once in a while. I'll have some pork rinds once in a while for a snack. Um, yeah, that's mackerel. I've added mackerel to my diet.
Nice. So, how have you gone with things like the fatigue and the debilitating headaches? That's all gone?
Yeah, yeah. Well, the going low glycemic, that took care of the headaches, but like not really nothing else. But yeah, the fatigue, the energy, the clarity, sleeping better. I've never actually felt stronger in my entire life, and I don't think I've worked harder in my entire life in these last few years. As my muscles started to strengthen, and as I started to get energy, I just started working. And for whatever reason, like particularly the summers, I I have been doing very strenuous jobs and working, a long time in the sun, and then that's kind of another thing a lot of people talk about, not getting sunburn. Yeah, and I just tan. Yeah, I don't have any problem. I never really had a big problem getting sunburned, but I spend a lot of time in the sun, and I don't have any problem getting sunburned. I don't have any problem with getting heat exhaustion. Just make sure I keep drinking water. Um, don't have any lack of energy whatsoever. If I am working outside of the house, I will just get up, I'll drink water, and then I'll go to work. And whether I work all day, I've had plenty of energy. I don't have to eat, just have to drink. And then when I get home, then I'm ready to eat. And then I'll have a big meal. One summer I was doing a bunch of landscaping work and wouldn't get home till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening. And I would eat. I think at that point I was eating hamburger and eggs. So I'd make, 3 or 4 hamburger patties, and, maybe half a dozen eggs or more. And then just sit there and eat. It might take, an hour or so to eat, but it was very satisfying. And again, till I was full. Sometimes I could clean my plate, sometimes I couldn't.
Are you still doing the IT work?
Yeah, yeah.
And so, how is that now compared to what it was before you were eating this way? Are you more productive, able to focus more?
Oh,
How's
definitely.
that going?
Yeah, the yeah, just that brain fog, is gone. So just being, feeling more creative, feeling more innovative, as far as programming and especially debugging and things like user interface design. It takes a lot of brain work, creativity, and um, pattern recognition, and that seems to come more easily, definitely.
And so in the last 5 or so years, have you been to see your doctor?
No, no, I
Is that like a just conscious avoidance of doctors or
I
like
don't have a doctor. I actually took care of my mother as before she passed away, and I kept her home as long as I could. My wife and I and her sister, and we took care of her, and I just we could never find anybody that could help her, and it was really frustrating. And I think there are some things that that it would be useful for if severely injured or something like that. Then obviously I would use a doctor. But anything that's that I think my body can heal, then I will do everything I can to support my body and let it heal. You know, um, and eating this way, I think it's far less likely I'm going to have problems and need to go to the doctor. And particularly, like I say, with the if I do have some kind of blood sugar issues or insulin resistance, um, well, you know, I don't have a problem with it because I'm dealing with it properly. Whereas what I see in other people, and I've definitely seen with my mother, is going the medical route tends to just create more of its own problems. I don't know how many stories I've personally talked to people who go to the doctor and they with some particular problem, which I would have just dealt with myself. Looked for medicinals, plant medicinals or something like that, or um, just look for more natural responses to deal with the cause. Well, it's common for people pretty much globally just to go to the doctor. And what happens is, will start giving you pharmaceuticals, which have other side effects. And I think a lot of times they're misdiagnosed, so it just creates even more problems. It's slippery slope, kind of thing.
yeah. It kind of feels like once you're into the system, there's no getting back out. It's like it's just downward, 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 right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, and it's creating more problems, which they obviously they have more solutions to, which create more problems, and it's just a vicious cycle. So I think we're way better off just doing the best we can to avoid it.
Day to day, how are you eating at the moment? How many times and what are the meals made up of?
Yeah, like mostly it's hamburger and eggs, and it'll be either 1 or 2 meals a day. If I'm um, at home most of the day, then it'll most likely be 2 meals and maybe a little bit of snacking here. Another thing that I eat is I will go to the butcher and get their steak trimmings, and then I'll render them down into tallow, and then separate that out from separate the tallow from, like, you get these what we call cracklings, all the little bits of meat and kind of chunks of fat that get kind of hard and brown. And then I separate those, and I put them in the freezer. And then the tallow, it's it's really wonderful. It gets nice and hard, and it looks and feels exactly like white chocolate. So the texture, and the chew, of course, it tastes nothing like it, which I don't have a desire for white chocolate, but just that creamy look and that texture, it's really nice. So if a person gets a little hungry, it's a great way to quickly satisfy craving. And then the cracklings too, you kind of chew on those, and then they're crunchy. You can put a little salt on there. I don't, but um, now kind of a common thing for people eating a lot of animal source food is that it's satiating, whereas the plant source food, for some reason, and in my personal experience, like, I never got satiated eating, salads and nuts and carrots and broccoli and cauliflower and, whatever, berries and, blueberries, strawberries. Never got satiated. I could just eat all day. Whereas the beef and the eggs, the steak, pork rinds, you eat, like you start when I start eating it, it's, oh, this is great, it's satisfying. But then you get to a point, it's like, oh, okay, I'm good, and you don't need to eat anymore. Well, that tallow and those cracklings, they quickly satiate. You can't have much of those at all.
Yeah, I agree. And it's such a nice experience. Having never experienced this in my life up until the last, about 2 years ago. It's just so nice to be able to eat and then not think about food again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And the simplicity is just, I love it. Shopping, cooking, it's so simple. And there's kind of an issue with people talk about the cost of beef. Clearly, it's way more affordable in the long run when you take all the costs into account. Like medical costs particularly and time costs, but just the volume of food that we need to eat is so much less. It's far more nutrient dense food. Um, so we're not having to eat as much food, which also means we're not getting as much calories, like that idea, calories in, calories out, in most cases it's not what people think it is. And in my opinion, as I evaluate things, I think the problem with plants is that and calories is that they're not satiating. So we keep eating them and we end up getting a lot of calories. Whereas the animal source food, especially ruminant animal, which I in my experience is phenomenal. Um, um, it's very satiating and it's nutrient dense. So you're getting, again, from my experience and what I've studied and listened to, other people who know a lot more about it than I do. We're getting everything we need, absolutely everything we need, and very little, if anything, we don't need. Possibly, yeah, I don't know. Like as far as cost and the food, like if you add up all the snacks, all the fast food, trips to the, quick stops, and I think you're paying more, than you are even if you were like those 16 months that I was just eating steaks, and I always look for sales or I'd look for the rib roast or something I could cut up, and save some money. But and then even if it was more expensive, I'd still do whatever I
Yeah.
can keep eating this way because yeah, no, it, really clear demarcation point in my life, as far
Mm.
as my sense of well-being, my energy, my clarity, my physical strength.
You mentioned your wife before. How does your wife feel about this?
Yeah, we're not exactly on the same page. We're both looking for health solutions, and she's come across something very interesting too. I think guy's name is Brecka, Dr. Brecka, or something like that. Maybe Greg Brecka. I'm not exactly sure, but he points out that um, some people with like lacking a particular gene are not able to convert folic acid into folate, something like that, and then so they have a big problem with with enriched food and vitamin supplements because they're in poor quality forms, that are not bioavailable to our bodies, and a lot of people. Um, I don't know if she said it was like 40% of the people don't have this gene or something, so they really suffer. And she discovered that in herself, and so she cut out the enriched foods, and she feels a lot better. So we're both seeking our what kind of food that we need and our lifestyle in order to feel our best and thrive, but not entirely on the same page as
Okay.
far as carnivore for sure.
Mm. Um, and so what about like colleagues or friends when you go out to eat it? They kind of like, what are you doing? Only eating steak? Aren't you gonna eat some vegetables?
Yeah, yeah, and I don't get out much, so I don't have a big problem with that. But it is, yeah, that's a really awkward situation. It's a little funny little story lately. Kind of one of the things that I've been starting to do lately is volunteer time to uh, build like wheelchair ramps for people so they can go back home. People that elderly people that get out of the hospital and go back home or go live with family. And so just recently, I was working with a team of guys, and we started early in the day, and we worked through the day building this ramp. And about lunchtime, and I didn't even realize, that it was lunchtime because I don't think that way anymore. Uh, One of the guys' wives came with a bunch of bags of fast food from Arby's, like roast beef, um, and handed one out to everybody. So I thanked her kindly, and after she left, and I asked the guys, anybody want seconds? Because I was sure that I wasn't gonna want to salvage anything from that bag. Even Arby's roast beef, it might have some kind of sauce on it, or if they soak their meat in something. And really, I had no need for it. I had plenty of energy. I was ready to just keep working. And one of the guys turned to me and kind of looked at me and said, "Oh, are you vegan?" Come on, I might have got big, but I said, "Well, no, actually, just the opposite. I don't eat plants at all." And I don't know if you know what to think about that.
Oh, nice. So, and did was he the one that took it off your hands?
No, no, nobody ate it.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I
Nice.
took it home and fed it to the dogs.
So, um, you're more than 5 years into this journey. Do you suspect this will be the way you eat forever?
Yeah, I really think so. I'm open to the idea of, keto, maybe eating vegetables, but at this point, I have no desire for it. Yeah, I don't know. And I tend to be an idealist, so I like the idea of just not eating any plants whatsoever. Um, yeah, it's really clear to me that I don't need it, and I don't desire it. So I'm guessing I will be this way the rest of my life. But I can see, the people that eat the keto lifestyle, a proper keto lifestyle. Yeah, I think that they can do really well. So yeah, I don't object to it, and I'm open to it. Although anytime I think about it, it's like, why?
Yeah. Kind of got the same feeling. Like I know keto can work because I've done it before, but when I look at it and I think, well, I wonder if I could add these things back in, and it's like, why? Because it's just so much easier just to eat animal products, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Even like
Mm.
dairy, I tend to have a little bit of problem with dairy, but I'll still eat it once in a while because it's really nice. Like I can find whole milk probiotic yogurt around here, and that's a really nice treat, especially with some pork rinds. Um, but then I get a little bit of congestion the next day, so it's kind of like, and it's not bad. but it's a little bit of a give and take. Yeah, I just very happy just eating really beef, and I don't even eat pork, you know. And again, I think people do great on pork, but I don't have a desire for it. I really think, and again from my studies, that ruminant animal meat is a baseline food for us. I think it's a benign food for us. From my experience, and again, what I get watching videos and looking into the matter, that, like I said earlier, it has everything we need, but it has nothing, that's attacking us. Like once in a while, if I get the opportunity, I'll tell somebody about it, because I love to share my experience. Most people not interested, they think, well, everybody's different, or they just kind of goes over their head, or deer in the headlights, or um, and that's fine, But once in a while, somebody will, is struggling with some issues, that I've heard so many stories of people being healed from so many different things, and if they have something like that, then I'll tell them about it, and what I'll urge, what I urge people to do, if they're interested, then I'll urge them to do like a 30-day steak challenge, just eat steak, any kind of steak, salt water, 30 days. By the end of the 30 days, I think they will know, okay, this will let my body heal. They may, I think there's exceptions to the rule. And so they may get to the point, it's like, well, no, this isn't working for me. I need to do something else. I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised. But that's a possibility. And I would say it just takes 30 days, and of course, I know you've heard so many stories, and I've heard so many stories that's a clincher for people. 30 days, and then now they know this will heal. And that's kind of a point that I like to make, is that, like, food doesn't heal us, and obviously doctors don't heal us, and pharmaceuticals don't heal us, and therapies don't heal us. It's our bodies that heal us. If we let it, if we stop attacking it, and that's clearly the big problem that we have, is that we're assaulting our body with lots of poisons and chemicals and toxins, whether they're man-made and man-introduced or natural, coming with the plants. And then the imbalance of the not only the carbohydrates, but then you throw in the added sugars and the seed oils, and it's no wonder that we have an epidemic of metabolic syndrome.
I think you're right. 30 days in, and most people, I would say most people, once they're over 40, most people after 30 days eating nothing but steak, they're gonna stick to it.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. The thing about
yeah.
steak, it's nice. It's really nice. I don't know that I set some kind of date for my eating steak. I'm not even sure, why I specifically started, limited myself to steak. Probably from Michaela Peterson, and that's what she did, if I recall correctly. But anyway, so I just launched on eating steak, just kind of my natural response to it, and and yeah, and solid 16 months. That's all I ate was steak. And uh, kind of another thing to talk about is, yeah, those first few months. Now I was already low glycemic, so I I had like no digestive problems, or anything like that. But I did get terrible cramps in my legs at night, terrible cramps, and so I would make sure that I was getting making sure getting a good sea salt, and I never did take electrolytes, but that might have helped. Mostly, I just pushed through it. At that point, I had already known that this is the way to go. Because I was getting stronger, I was getting clearer, and then just hearing everybody else's story that this is one thing that happens, and sure enough, after I don't remember exactly how long it took, but I would say within the first 2, maybe 3 months was when I was having a lot of those cramping problems, and then they just went away.
Yeah, nice. I guess that's something that people need to be aware of at the start. Yeah. So Jay, is there any way that people can reach out to you? Do you have any social media like a YouTube or an Instagram?
You can share my email. Let me give you another email that you can put in the notes. And yeah, feel free to share because I love to collaborate with people and promote carnivore, keep spreading the word. But also, I'd love to support people that are new at it.
Jay, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us today. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, you're welcome, Dave.